You saw it, right? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Aaron. Welcome, John.
Hey, Aman, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Thanks for having me, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
glad you're here.
I have a cold, by the way, so if I sound pretty goofy, it's not normal.
It's all right. We have a couple of board members down with COVID at the moment, so given that it's cold, it's probably a good thing it's not COVID. So
Yeah, it is the season.
Yep, could be worse.
Could be.
Hey, folks from Sierra Pacific, Casey, I see you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
So these guys are Sierra Pacific?
Yep, across the street. Well, not across the street, but in Centralia. That's their Centralia location.
Yeah, I
Hey,
think
Charlie.
I'm gonna be heading over there. I think it's next week.
Nice.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Charlie.
Good
to see you
afternoon.
again.
Ooh, I love that background, John.
Thank you. Sulzer 12-cylinder diesel engine for a container ship.
That's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it is.
It
You
seems
can
like
walk
it's
through
to
it.
scale. Like I almost feel like you're actually in there.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's much bigger. Since
I was gonna
there's
say
about
it
3 feet
sounds like
across.
it's nice and warm in there.
Yeah, it is warm there. As long as you're below the Aleutians.
Hey, Brian, welcome to the meeting. How are you feeling? I think you're muted.
There we go. Thank you. No, I'm hanging in there.
Good, good. Glad you could make it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate being here.
One more minute and then we'll go ahead and start with the introductions. Hey, Bobby, good to see you.
Yeah, welcome.
Hey, Jeremy,
Hey, Lon.
welcome to the meeting.
Thanks.
I see Carrie in there. Don't see her. Hey, Carrie, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, good. All right, looks like it's right. It's 2 o'clock. So Jeremy, since you're the chair of the committee, do you want to go ahead, call the committee to order, and maybe we can start with introductions after?
Yeah, let's call this thing to order. It is 2 o'clock. We're right on time. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm welcoming you from my seat over here in Spokane, Washington. So glad to be here and be part of the group and catch up. It's been a little while since I think we've had our last meeting. Mon, thanks for bringing us together. So just way of introductions, I am, as I mentioned, out in Spokane. I work for Vista Utilities. I'm the director of craft talent development, which really just focuses on all our field work and apprenticeship programs and that workforce pipeline. So we do everything from high school programs up through all of their training and then even into their leadership programs and development. So from there, I think we'll just popcorn around, but I think what I'll do is I'll ask each person maybe to call on the next person. So I'm gonna go to John next because I haven't talked to John for a little while.
Everybody, I'm John Steidel. I'm one of the instructors here at Centralia College. I've taught in the PPO program, the ERA mechatronics program, and done a little bit in the diesel and medical assistance program. My background is a ship's engineer in the Merchant Marine and dabbled in the Navy. Yeah, and I helped develop the first year pathways program to kind of smooth things out to a better flow into the second year. And next person, Aman.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Aman Gill. I run the second year of the Electronics, Robotics, Automation / Mechatronics program here at Centralia College. It's been a little over a year since I've taken over the program, so we're going strong, trying to take the program to new heights, get more students in, be able to meet industry demands. That's why we're all here today. Let me call on Charlie.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Charlie Hutchison. I am in charge of services for CES in the Washington, Oregon, and Idaho area. And CES is an automation technology company that focuses in on manufacturing. I'm sure a few of the people on here have probably heard of us or deal with some of our locations. Jeremy probably does, or his counterparts do. So what I do is I help with any of the services related to optimization, assets, assessment, safety and networking within manufacturing facilities for our company. We are a electrical distributor for a lot of different brands, but mainly Rockwell Automation. And so that's what I do over here. And then we also have another person here on the call with us that's with our company. So I'll call on him next, and that is Aaron Davis.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Aaron Davis. I'm a drive specialist with CES. I'm actually employed by CES, but I represent Rockwell Automation variable frequency drives from a technical standpoint, whether that's troubleshooting or installation of best practices or application sizing. My background is 26 years in sawmills. So I've got quite an extensive career working on the other side of the fence, with kind of a unique perspective being over on this side now on the sales and tech support side. So with that, I guess the third member of our CES team is Ethan. So we'll let Ethan introduce himself.
Hey everybody, Ethan, manager of the CES here locally in Centralia. We got connected with Aman through Charlie and had the pleasure of presenting to his class here recently, kind of exploring some of the different career options in the field that they're looking to go into. A lot of his students currently either worked at our customers in the past or looking to do so in the future. So we're just trying to help you guys' students explore some of those opportunities. So great being here. Oh, I need to call on someone. Here we go. Let's go with Carrie.
Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. I am Carrie Aranello, and I'm the Talent Acquisition Manager for Reese's Fine Foods. If you're familiar with who Reese's is, probably potato salad would probably come to mind. But not only do we have the Reese's brand, we also, under the Reese's brand, we have Don Poncho tortillas and chips, as well as Stone Mill dips, as well as Main Street Bistro. So all of that you might see in your grocery store as you're perusing through the deli and the meat section and the dip section. And we've been engaging with Amon as of late to talk a bit more about how we can be a part of more about what's happening within the program, how that can meet the needs of what we're needing as far as talent within our organization and within our food production manufacturing plants. I do have two other counterparts. They happen not to be here today, but I'm hoping that they will be able to attend for future meetings. So I am representing them today during this meeting, and I'm happy to be here for the first time. And I am going to call on, I see Casey with people in the room.
Hi, I'm Casey Lasheen with Sierra Pacific. I am the Human Resource Coordinator here, and we have been working with Amon in the ERA program for a bit now. Hosted a couple tours, and we're excited to have him back again. I have with me John Beeman, our maintenance supervisor, as well as Joe Kuhn, our newest PLC electrician. He has only been here for 3 days, so we promised that we would ease him into this program, but we hope that he will be the main contact for Amon and everything that he needs to do here at Sierra Pacific. Do you have anything to add?
So,
No? Okay.
Who we have left?
Brian, since Brian's left, yep.
Hello, folks. I'm Brian Hutton. I'm the president of Columbia Cura in Vancouver, Washington. I'm quarantining in my home this week. Went 3 years without being bitten by the COVID bug. Been traveling the world, and I thought I was immune, but this weekend it caught up with me. So I'm on the road to recovery here, but if I sound a little froggy, that's the problem. So Columbia Cura is a joint venture. We're owned by two families, one a Vancouver family from way back when, 1937 Columbia Machine, and another family out of Japan since 1927, the Akura family. We're an end-of-line robotic integrator, do a ton of work around the Western Hemisphere. We've put over 1,000 robotic systems into application. We just celebrated our 27th year here in February. It's a nice group of people on the phone here from an advisory standpoint. We do a ton of business with CES out of their Vancouver office. One of our biggest spends, if you will, with a supplier, and we'd like to do a lot of work with Reese's. So we've had some introductions there with collaborative robots. So maybe sometime in the future that'll happen. We've had him on and his cohorts down to our factory probably 2 or 3 times now with factory tours and things. So it's a great college. We've had graduates from there come to work for us, and we're looking for more. So nice to meet everybody today.
And either
I need to
Bobby or
call on
Elizabeth.
somebody here.
Yeah.
Bobby, did Bobby get to go?
I was hoping you guys would let Betsy go because she's more important than I am, and I'm not being tongue in cheek by that. Bobby Berger. I'm a business. I teach business. I'm in the business department here at Centralia. I run the 4-year business degree, and my background is supply chain management and military operations. 20 years of military ops, and then supply chain down in the Silicon Valley. And then in somewhere in between that, I was the stunt double for Bryan Cranston on Breaking Bad. And then I decided to go into teaching. So other than that, no, it's great to meet everybody. I'm here to see what kind of possibilities, watching this group, working with Amin and watching the team. What can some of my business students, what can we get possibly down the road? What kind of opportunities would this create for us? So I'm going to be a fly on the wall and watch, and it's great to meet you all. And that's it for me, Betsy.
Hi, I am Betsy Lazo. I'm the Dean of Career and Technical Education, healthcare and industrial trade specifically. So ERA falls under that. Our power plant operations, energy tech, welding, diesel, IT, CDL, healthcare, all the healthcare stuff too. So there's a big umbrella there. I think I forgot some folks, so don't tell them, but I think I forgot one. Yeah, nice to meet you all.
All right. So I think that's captured everyone. Let's get an I want to echo what Brian said. It's great to see a really good sized group and good representation of industry. And that's been, slowly growing since we combined the programs and got this advisory board started. So maybe either just a real thumbs up, or you can do a virtual thumbs up. Who's here is this is their first meeting, so we kind of get an idea. All right, nice, great to have you. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk a little more. Looking at the agenda, I think next we have is the ERA education plan. So I'll kick it back over to Aman to lead us through what that's looking like.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, we got it.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So this is the 2022-2023 education plan. We have one small change that we've made since the last advisory board meeting, and I'll walk you guys over that change. But for the most part, it's what we saw at the last advising meeting as well. For the new folks, I'll quickly give you a rundown of what's on the Ed Planner. So in the first year, the first 3 quarters, the students basically go through the trades classes. They take a lot of classes with John. So John basically preps them with all the skills that they would need to be successful in their second year classes. They have to deal with fluid systems, electrical systems, and mechanical systems. So that's the fundamental for any industry they would want to go in. So this is the first common year for welding, diesel, ERA mechatronics. All the students have to go through these classes: industrial safety, mechanical systems, fluid systems, and electrical systems. Outside of that, they also have to do some classes, for example, the HR 101 class, which is a college success class. So a lot of the students this is either their first attempt at college right out of high school, or they've been in the workforce for a while and they're coming back to college. So either way, it's their first time in college. So just a little bit of help on how to be successful in a college environment. Then we have the BTech 191 taught by Betsy. Students basically go over what are the best practices in the workplace. And then we have an English writing class, either Writing 105 or English 101 elective. Basically go over how to write proper English, essentially. The students also go through print reading, which is taught by welding faculty. So be able to read blueprints and some knowledge of geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. Students also do an IT 117 intro to Windows OS. So they, if they've had an interface with computer before, they'll learn some best practices. If not, this is a good introduction to the Windows operating system. In addition, they also go over the Microsoft Office products. So Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel. They also do the Health 145 Safety and Fitness class. And in the third quarter, they're doing the computer-aided design. This is the class I teach in the first quarter for all trades students. This is Autodesk Fusion 360. So in this class, the students do, they basically learn how to interface with a modern parametric CAD software. So they learn how to sketch, create solid models, build assemblies, and then finally create engineering drawings from those assemblies or solid models. Forklift training, that's done by the diesel faculty, and then they also do HR 110. Again, some more practice and thoughts and just best practices to, exist in a workplace environment. The change that we've made for the first year curriculum is here. Instead of a welding elective, we've put a class together called ERA 119, which is the Introduction to Industrial Systems. So this class basically gives them an overview of what a modern industrial system is composed of. So we'll give them an brief introduction on electrical systems, electronic systems, mechatronic systems, logical controllers, industrial controllers, robotics, industrial robotics, the robotic arms, and then how everything comes together to do automation, and then package it with the feedback loop of data, which is what constitutes Industry 4.0. So welding elective has been now replaced by that for the ERA students. This also gives them a little taste of what they're in for the second year, because this is basically an advertisement for what they're going to see in each of the classes in their second year. The second year classes have remained pretty much unchanged. The only thing that has happened is we've shuffled them around a little bit to have some more sort of harmony between the classes. So in the second year, they'll do advanced AC/DC electronics. In this, they learn everything from logic gates all the way up to complex analog to digital converters. So everything in between, everything digital electronics is covered in that class. They also do a solid state devices class, which is with John. So there they go over mostly transistors, diodes and transistors, essentially. Industrial robotics, MEC 270. This is a class where we teach them how to use a teach pendant to program a FANUC robot. We specifically have a lab-made 210 IR robot. And I'm currently in the process of getting certified on this robot. So the students who take a class with me will get a FANUC certification. Thanks to Betsy, she was able to secure a grant so that I could pay for the FANUC class to get myself certified on the FANUC robot. In the winter quarter, which is the current quarter, they go over robotic controllers. It includes a little bit of introduction to what CNC programs look like, but for the most part, they deal with something called an Arduino microcontroller. So that's essentially a way of teaching how to integrate sensors and actuators via programmable logic, right? The only difference between an industrial programmable logic controller like an Allen Bradley is it's typically done via ladder logic, although there are other ways to program it. But in this robotics controllers class specifically, they use the Arduino development environment, which introduces them to a little bit of C++. Finally, we do some amplifiers, and then the Allen Bradley PLCs. Again, everything from timers, counters to jump statements to wiring, PLC, wiring push buttons, wiring the stack light, wiring VFD. They just touch on all these topics. So it's a broad class, not super deep, but they touch on all the broad components that go along with an Allen Bradley PLC. We have a control Logix 7761 series PLCs. So we use them to teach. And then finally, in the spring quarter, they do communication systems. So a little bit of learning about, just the Modbus, Profibus, a little bit of SCADA, some Ethernet, just a modern communication system, how it works. They also do sensors and instruments, your common industrial sensors, temperature, pressure, proximity, capacitive, inductive, etc., how they work, how you should wire them, best practices, etc. And then there's the robotics capstone, which is essentially a class that goes over two things. One, it's a finishing class for anyone going to a manufacturing environment. So they're familiar with, principles like Lean, Six Sigma, components like the components of the Toyota production system, essentially. they also do a little bit of systems engineering, so they understand how different systems work together, what's a good way to represent different systems, things of that nature. And they also build their own capstone project. So right now they're in the process of brainstorming. So they are coming up with ideas, and they'll fill out an application to go to the college foundation to ask for money so they can complete the project, write up a report, and present it on capstone day. So it kind of gives them an idea of how to accomplish a project, from the beginning to the end if they're in an industrial setting. Any questions I could possibly answer?
Can you, from on that new class, I think it was CRA, it was, you say 119 or
ERA 119, yep.
How does it connect with, I think in that quarter, with the electrical systems and the electrical systems lab? How does that coordinate with those?
I think electrical systems is a standalone class. They deal with Ohm's law, Kirchhoff's law, lots of circuits that are built in that class. With the ERA 119 class, it just starts off with, by the way, Ohm's law, and then how every other law basically is built off of Ohm's law, and then let's move forward. So.
And I think I need to take the second year classes so I can better understand how to use my 3D printer at home. But other than that.
Talking about 3D printers, we have our 3D printers up and running. We have a couple of CR10s and then some 3 MakerBots. So we have 5 3D printers up and running. We're trying to put together a little maker space. We brought our CNC routers out as well, and we're moving in that direction slowly.
Just checking with the group and some of the new folks. Any other questions or comments about the program and what's outlined there?
I guess if I had any comments, I'd say I'm glad to hear, you're digging into the weeds with Ohm's law and all that too. And certainly with the communication systems, Ethernet is definitely the path forward. As far as setting up a system comm network. So it's good to see that you've got Ethernet included in that as well.
I'm just curious, do you guys talk at all about the building of the plant floor networks at all?
The what network?
So the industrial automated control system networks, do you talk in that at all about the building of those networks as well? Or is it mostly, looking at stuff on pre-built networks?
Mostly stuff on pre-built networks. We don't build any networks from it's just like, hey, these exist. It's a lot more show and tell than building anything.
Okay.
But a part of what Charlie might be kind of getting at too is networking in particular. In fact, I was at a customer today at the port of Vancouver, and the ports are basically ran or monitored by Homeland Security. So Homeland Security is sweeping in with a whole bunch of security guidelines and mandates that communication networks need to follow. It might be a little peek in the corner that you might want to take a look at.
Even including into there some of like the topologies that are available on those type of OT networks of, the different things that you could see on the different setups, and
like the star topologies, ring.
Exactly,
topologies.
yeah, star ring, all that stuff, like what
Talk
do
a little
those
bit
look
about
like?
them,
What
but-
are the benefits, stuff like that?
I think we can definitely do a better job digging a little bit deeper into that. Sure.
I just know when I'm going to a lot of our customers and we're talking about that, and we're dealing with some of the newer people, that's something that a lot of programs don't seem to cover.
Good feedback. Thank you. Anything else?
The only thing I'll add, I know from my conversations with Alex, who is our general manager out at our Century plant in Hillsborough, when he was looking at the curriculum, is he likes the electronics, the robotics, the PLC. He likes the diversity of the offerings, which is certainly helpful in our environment as we're leaning more towards becoming a bit more automated, rather than having more actual headcount. So we're slowly but surely moving in that direction. So he really liked the diverse nature of the curriculum.
Good to hear that.
All right, well, let's take a look at our current and get some information about our incoming groups for the program.
All right, so the current cohort is about 7 students. And the incoming cohort is about the same size. We are trying to do some outreach activities to K through 12 schools in the area. I think we have a presentation at one of the high schools in Lacey in I think a couple of weeks. So we are trying to increase the size of our incoming cohort, definitely, but just under 10 is where we are sitting right now with the current one and the one right after these.
What's the maximum you guys actually want? I mean, I would assume that's too many.
I think the class size is about 24, so I'm guessing the most students that we can have at a time is about 24, and feel free to correct me, Betsy, if that it's a different number.
I think our outlines say 20, but capacity in the actual room is probably 24. Pushing it, I guess.
Okay.
You're kind of sitting at about a third to target right now, basically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of true of some of our trades programs in general, just because they're very hands-on programs, and having the social distancing that we had, it was difficult to run those at a full capacity. And a lot of those students were discouraged from attending because they wouldn't get the full hands-on experience and stuff. So I think in years to come, even next year, we'll see an increase just because it's a year away from some of those mandates and restrictions. So
What kind of activities are we doing to bring attention to it? You're talking about going out and visiting schools, but is there other things that we're doing to bring attention to the program and the value it can, opportunities it produces?
Couple of things. The first thing is we're working on putting up a video on our website. So I'm collaborating with Drew, who's our local photographer, videographer. I'm supposed to shoot a video with him on the 28th of this month to just, give a layout of what the program offers. And that's one thing. The other thing probably is via our campus, the folks who help students get into the campus, the admission counselors, etc. So they have been pushing quite a few students in this direction. So those are the 2 things that come to mind.
I'm kind of
I'm open
curious
to ideas.
Well, I'm curious, Alman, if you don't mind, I'm wondering about any prerequisites and do we know, are the high schools, are they, are these kids coming out of high schools with prerequisites they need to get into this course?
For the most part, the prerequisites are covered in these courses. There is a little bit of math requirement, but John does a really good job with his fluid and electrical systems. They come in thinking it's a fluid systems class, and before you know it, they're doing some calculations on their calculators. So, so that's a bait and switch. But other than that, not really. I think a high school diploma is required to start the program, but I'm not aware of any other prerequisites that they need. In the past, we've had high school running starts come through the program. This cohort just has one, and they're typically pretty successful. They're very open to learning, very energetic, regular. So we've had a good experience with high school running starts as well.
Do we have any running start in the incoming cohort?
I'm not sure because I do not advise running start students, so whoever's advising them would have a better idea.
Okay.
We have our advising counseling center focuses on running start students and making sure they're meeting, because it's a very careful line where they have to meet their high school requirements. And going to that, we see students generally start the trades program their senior year, because that means that they've probably gotten some of their junior year stuff. They've focused on some of their high school requirements and stuff. And so we're working on scheduling a little bit better within our first year with the trades program to be able to embrace running start students at different times because of the way their semester ends in January, but yet we're in the middle of a term at that point. So there's some things that we're kind of working on to help that piece, but a lot of times we don't see them. And that's why going out to high schools is really important, because then we can capture them there and get their interest. So
Yeah.
If I may add, the prerequisite for the mechanical systems, which is the start of the sequence of math, is based the lowest level. They need to have passed Math 95, which is a little bit less than algebra, but more than adding, subtracting, multiplication, and division. And so the mechanical systems, it's hands-on, it has labs, but it's where we sneak in the math that they need to be able to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and work with number lines and begin to do basic algebra. By the time they get to electricity, they have to do algebraic equations with series and parallel circuits.
And probably my last question, Aman, is are we holding students over between the first and second year? Or are we losing students as they transition, or?
So far I've only lost one. And I
Okay,
think
that's
John knows who we are talking about, but so far we've only lost one.
Yeah, this is the winter quarter, and a lot of the students that have said that they were going to go ERA, and there's about 7 of them, I believe, they're still strong on ERA, even though they're now working with fluids and hydraulic systems, and I have to convince them that there could be industry where their ability to work with fluids will still come in with ERA. And they're having fun.
adding the new ERA class in spring of their first year, hopefully that'll keep their attention. So those students that we lose between the first and second year, because they'll be exposed to what the program will really look like and be able to get their hands on in that specific pathway or degree. We're hoping that that also increases the chances that they stick around and finish the degree too.
Any other comments, questions on our current groups that we have going through before we get into going through some general discussions around needs and gaps? And I think we may have even started to touch on some of those in this discussion, but I'll turn it over. Aman, you take us home on this one. What do we want to talk about? What do you need from us?
So I would definitely like to hear, since we've gone over the air plan, is there something that comes to mind that's maybe not on there, something you would like to see very specifically, something there's, a rising demand for, things of that nature. I know Brian has talked about cobots, and, cobots seem to be a big deal ahead of welding. A person from Lincoln Electric stopped by one time asking me that cobot welding is big. So things along those lines, anything we should be looking out for, that'd be anything, there's only so many students coming through the program. So, it's not going to meet everyone's staffing needs, but in the future, is there something specific you would like to see for students coming out of the program?
since no one's speaking up right away here, Amon, just to say, you got a great program here as far as you can't do it, an infinite amount of things in a 2-year program.
Right.
And so your first year activities, I think are very, the hands-on basic skills, which so many young people need today. And, transitioning into the second year, I think your curriculum, at least selfishly from our perspective, gives a pretty wide spread skill set to enter the industry. They're not going to be experts, but they know enough to show up and learn on the job. And I think most of you folks know that, most of what you learn on the job. You have to learn how to learn. And having those, exposures to those curriculums and those activities, it's a nice cross section, if I can say that. And again, I'm looking at it from our needs, which are different than many of you here, but I think there's a lot of commonality of needs too. So for 2 years, you got a lot packed in there. And the comments about communications, networking, that's an area of weakness. I've got senior people that not quite as old as me, but we got a wide range of folks, and that tends to be the weakest area of skill sets. So I think Aaron spoke up, and maybe Charlie. That networking communication piece is going to be bigger and bigger deal as this world evolves. So my 2 cents.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And to dovetail off what Brian was saying, I think it looks like, especially in that first year, you've got a lot of really good, what I would call foundational things to learn, kind of packed into that first year. The Ohm's law, and hopefully you're touching on binary. I'm assuming you get into binary when you get into PLCs, but understanding binary, all that stuff. If you can build that foundation and give these guys something to springboard off of and dive into the more hands-on stuff, and it sounds like you're pretty much there.
Moving on, is there any specific requirement for certifications? I know Charlie and I, when we first met, we had to talk about a Rockwell automation certification. It was like an online, I want to say a class or a test. I forget the specifics, but something I was thinking about would be nice would be, let's say if Allen Bradley is the industry standard, could we do something where students take a class or maybe 2 on that topic, and by the end of that second class they have to sit for a standardized test that may be Allen Bradley's, and on the other end they come out with a certification. Maybe that's more attractive to employers, if just throwing out an idea.
Yeah, we have access to be able to provide the certificate pass for things like logic certification. I believe there's a couple other ones out there as well, but that's really typically the main one that I usually hear people request. And it used to be that all of those classes had to be done in person. However, most of it have now been transitioned into the Learning Plus platform, which is really good too, because the colleges do get some really good stuff on that. So, I think that's a really good question is that type of certification something that would be helpful in your guys' environment?
Yeah, I would imagine there's probably a way to tie in. I don't know all the technical parts of it at this point, to be perfectly honest, but I do know there is some version of a Rockwell certified drives programmer, engineer, whatever you want to call them. At this point, I wouldn't know how it would necessarily fit in with your group, but I'm certainly willing to ask the question. One other thing, it's not even necessarily a certification, I guess, so a slightly off topic, but as I'd mentioned when we first met on, there were programs coming out, say for example, the IEEE 519. It's a harmonic standard that's being put out by the utilities. There's more and more of these issues out there that are starting to become prevalent. So they're kind of, the low hanging fruit has now been picked. So now everybody's kind of looking a little bit higher up the tree. Things like IEEE 519, which basically relates to harmonics induced by nonlinear loads into the power structure. I would imagine, those types of things are going to start to become pretty prevalent too as time goes on. And, right now the utilities are only penalizing for power factor, but pretty soon you can bet if you're in non-compliance in the harmonics, you're going to get penalized for that too. So there's going to be a need for some type of guy that gets you within harmonic compliance, those kinds of things.
Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on this since we're talking about utility companies?
Nah, a little outside my wheelhouse at the moment,
Okay.
but something I can ask around about. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing I've heard about anyways, as a major concern in my circle.
So I'm on in the chat. I'm just adding kind of a little blurb from our job description for electrical process. So these are some things that I could see could be helpful, whether it's now or in the future. That, specifically we would look at for those positions here.
Beautiful. Yes, they do the Artist Logix 5000 in their PLC class, and the 232.485 protocols they'll do in the networking class and the Ethernet IP. I'll have to look hard. I'm not sure if it's in the curriculum, but I can definitely go back and look into it.
And I know the Factory Talk View, RS Logix, and the Ethernet IP are all included in the programs that we were talking about as well. That gives them, the program actually gives them access to a lot of classes, but it does also have many classes that they could apply towards the certificate as well.
Any thoughts on this, Casey? You guys have been quiet, so I'll just call upon you. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to bring up real quick is possible internships. I think it's a really good way to get their foot in the door, especially if they're back into college for either worker retraining or if they're in high school. Usually their summers are open. We just got done with advising day, and I asked each one of my advisors what they were doing over the summer, and internships was not one of them. Working at fast food was. So would be nice if we could sort of start talking about internships, and if possible formalize something where we can even give them college credit. So if they, let's say, go to Columbia Kura, do a summer internship with them, maybe you can skip the capstone, something along those lines. So
Aman, I think that might be something we would definitely consider. And I think maybe in our visit, when you come out on the 28th, we can talk a little bit more about that with Alex.
Yeah, Mon, I can get you in touch with those on our team as well that deal with the internships.
yeah, awesome.
And I think that works too, Amon, for both Columbia Machine and Columbia Kura. We've had an intern, at least one, for as many years as I can remember now at our joint venture, but the parent company is a lot bigger. So
Awesome. All right. Any thoughts on Industry 4.0, green economy, things of that nature, something you would like to see on the curriculum, or is that too far out in the future?
I just want to check in with Casey. I don't know if she had anything to share from the group there. You guys are on mute, so I don't know if there was something for the group or not, but just double checking.
My bad.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Sorry about that. Sierra Pacific is also very interested in doing internships, and I believe Joe had something to add.
Oh, it was a while back. There's still Ethernet is of course, the standard now, but we still have DH plus, control net, device net. There's still other protocols out there working, and they probably will remain so until they break. So just to be aware that there are other protocols out there, and they're very similar once they're set up. Different wiring, of course, coax or dual pairs. My other comment was I've taken those online Rockwell classes, and they are valuable, but I really would like to suggest that it works much better if you have some hands-on with those. I'm just saying from experience, if you have something in your hands to put with what you're learning, it will be retained, I believe, much better.
Yeah, we do have the control logic 7761 PLCs. Yep.
Amon, can I jump in for just a second?
Sure thing.
As you guys know, as I introduced myself, I'm actually with the business department at the 4-year business school. And so I just really wanted to quickly hit on that internships possibility also for students not within the ERA program, but in the business program. We have the supply chain and general managers. So if there was possible internships that might be applicable, we actually have a spring course, and it is college credit and requirement for graduation. So students are always looking for those. So if you ever thought that might be something, I would welcome a conversation.
Yeah, definitely on our side with that as well. We're absolutely always happy to look for interns. So I will get Amon that information as well and ask him that he also pass it over to you. So we can set up maybe some time to talk with that team together.
So Bobby, I wasn't aware that you had a supply chain program. I went looking for that probably 6 months ago because I was looking for somebody out of basically a school like yours. And is that new or?
It's actually a great question. Betsy knows I just wrote the program 2 years ago, and last year we implemented it. We'll graduate our first supply chain graduates at the end of this spring. So there's a total of 6. It'll be our first supply chain concentrations.
Perfect. Great to know. And better check your website. I thought I checked it and I didn't see it. So, but that was 6 months ago or so.
And I just updated it recently because I had that concern from somebody. So I appreciate that feedback.
Okay.
I just updated it with that information.
Yeah. So we'd be interested for the interns in that area too.
And Bobby, I just listed the internships that we will have available in our corporate office for this summer as well. They'll be posted by the end of this week.
Perfect. All right, so the final order of business is Jeremy has so kindly been the chair of this committee for a long time now. And he's he would like to pass on the baton to someone else who would be interested. Now, Jeremy, I really don't know what the procedure for that is. So if you want to do a vote or maybe you want to elaborate on that, that'd be awesome.
Sure. And just, thanks for the opportunity to serve. I know I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago we got this going, and literally there was maybe 2 or 3 of us. And so it's great to see the growth and the participation on what you brought and how you reached out. And even though I'm over in Spokane, I have ties. I've attended Centralia College. My dad graduated from the diesel technology program back in the day. I grew up in the area, so it means a lot. And I'll still saying that I'll still be continue to be part of this group, but really feel that getting some local representation to chair this that's in the area is really important. So process wise, you know, one, we're pretty, I think it's typically pretty informal. So if there's, we could start out with, is there anyone even willing to volunteer? If we have a couple volunteers, what we could do is then nominate them and do some votes. But how about we just open it up for anyone interested in taking on the chair role, which at this point is, you know, making sure you're at the meetings, working with them on any specific needs. And one of the challenges I had is I'm not in the area, so you might be asked to help out with participating in some of the activities, you know, maybe participating on site with a little bit more if you're in the area and can make that work. So as far as some of the expectations, I think we've been meeting, I think our goal is what, twice a year, maybe? Is that the?
Yes, that's the goal. I see Betsy agreeing very strongly. So she would like twice a year. I've only done once in this past year, but we'll push it to twice a year.
Other than that, it's, you know, helping coordinate the meeting like this, you know, maybe asking good questions here and there. So we'll open it up. Anyone want to nominate themselves or someone else?
You're stuck for another round, Jeremy.
I don't know if we start drawing names out of a hat, maybe. I don't know. Any volunteers?
We are trying to work on having barbecues here, so if that helps.
We got to find a way to put more pressure on everyone. I think that's
Yeah, I think for me, the hardest part would be to actually be able to commit to it at this point.
Yeah, that's mine as well. The travel that I do makes it very hard.
all right, Amon. I guess we're stuck where we are at the moment, so maybe we can come back to this topic at the next meeting.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you for all the valuable feedback. I'll try and run the minutes of the meeting by you before I turn it into the college, so everybody's on the same page. Any final closing thoughts before we move on for the day?
I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for having us be a part of this. I'm really excited. I think that this is a fantastic program, and I'm just really excited to continue down this path with you.
Thank you.
Just to add, you know, in closing, thank you all for the willingness to take in interns. I think that's another thing that I've seen that's over the last few years, it's been a shift as well. So the willingness to bring the students in, get them engaged early, I think that's there's some stuff that we're doing over here that's similar, and the ability to bring in that future workforce, it really does make a connection, and it works. So thanks for being willing to partner in that way. All right. Any last comments?
I'd just like to see your enrollment grow. You know, you got the open slots, and it's good value, and I can't believe there's not more people rushing to take advantage of it. Somehow more promotion. I spread the word as much as I can from down here in Vancouver. So
thank you, Brian.
All right. Hey, have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks again.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you everyone for
thanks,
joining.
folks.
Your
Thank
input's
you.
been really valuable, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jerry. Thanks, Amon. Take care.